Hey everybody, HK Sniper here. So for the last few months, I've been wanting to make a video covering this topic. And the topic is reenacting in a post-pandemic society, state, whatever you want to call this. But pretty much reenacting after the whole pandemic. And one thing that the pandemic did very well in terms of reenacting is it killed off a lot of events. A lot of events just gone. And it's not small events. It's not just the small events. Because you'd think that, oh yeah, some of the small events they couldn't handle, the logistics and being down. And no, there were some fairly large events that pretty much COVID just cut them down at the knees. And there was also events that I would say were growing and improving year after year and had a very bright future ahead of them. Unfortunately, just destroyed, cut down. You got to think part of that is 1 to 2 years, in some cases 3 years, of regulations involving large public gatherings, this and that. It's a whole political debate, and I don't like to jump into politics with this channel. This is a reenacting channel. Sometimes it's inevitable with certain types of politics, but I'm not going to jump into the whole pandemic politics on this. We're going to keep it on the topic here of just reenacting. But in essence, it had an impact because, again, 1, 2, sometimes 3 years where you're not able to have the event and you're either just not able to get back up from that, or, and this is kind of we're going to go into a little reenacting conspiracy theories here. Conspiracy theories with HK Sniper. Anyway, one of the things I feel, and again, reenacting in the public's eyes is different than us, how we view it. It's a hobby for us, we enjoy it. Believe it or not, there are people out there that do not like our hobby and they do not like us. And it could be for a variety of reasons. They don't like the guns, they don't like the nations that are portrayed, they have a certain, they view us in a stereotyped way. Let's just face it, everybody. We're weird, we're nerdy, we're dorky, we do some stupid stuff, we're kind of goofy. Come on. We go out on a weekend and we pretend that we're in a certain part of history. To most, not to most, I'm not going to say most, but to some people, they view that as very strange and that we're kind of got some mental, maybe some screws loose and whatnot, which, let's face it, as reenactors, we do. But again, there's people that do not like this hobby, and they could be in positions of power. So they could be heads of counties, townships, trustees, commissioners, whatever. They finally see an excuse to, bam, take that event out. It's gone. And I think that a lot of places use the pandemic as a convenient means to finally quietly excuse an event from the area. They just didn't like having it around for whatever reason, due to the local stress it brought, their own political views, their views of the hobby, whatever the case. That's my conspiracy theory. I feel that some events were cut down by the pandemic because people can use it as a convenient means to quietly remove it. So, personally, where am I at with this whole thing? How does it impact me? Number one, I've been back with Second Panzer for 2 years now, and gonna stick with those guys. They're a great group of people, and just love being around them, love reenacting with them. They're very passionate about history. They care very, very much about how they portray stuff and doing things accurately. And it's just a great time. And last year, talking with them, once I got back, got on my feet, got my kit all kind of regathered up, I had to buy some stuff that I repurchased some stuff that I had sold. I sat down with them at one of our just social events, and I said, "Hey, so what's on the agenda this year and next year? Like, what's coming up?" And I was pretty much told, "Well, we got the Age of Steam coming up in June, and then it's D-Day, and that's kind of it." I'm like, "What?" Yeah, that's it. Now, mind you, when I didn't really leave World War II, but when I really kind of stepped back from World War II and kind of put Cold War kind of my more priority, I could go through like May, June, July, August, and early September. I could go those months through the summer, spring, into early fall. I could go through all those events or all those months, and I could attend an event at minimum every probably every weekend, if not every other weekend. And for a while there, that's what I was doing. June, July, August, I was hitting an event up every other weekend. Every other weekend, I was out of state, I was out of town, and it was a great time. And it shocked me that it's like, wow, it's that bad. And they said, yeah, it's kind of rough right now after the pandemic. It's slim pickings. And there have been some new events popping up. I've read about some. I've heard some experiences about them, and there is some stuff kind of starting up to kind of replace certain events. This and that. There's rumors of certain events coming back. This and that. But right now, as of this date, 10/6/24, we're kind of in you know what I mean? And it's just a surprising shift. So what I've been doing in the meantime, I'm looking into going back into Soviet World War II, and then it's not to replace Second Panzer or anything. I just want to add more events that I can go to, because this is a hobby that I obviously spent a lot of money on and a lot of time on, generating all this knowledge and reading and getting information and this and that. I want to do it. I mean, I want to go out there and do it. But when there's an event every 2 months, ugh. So I'm in contact with a very great Soviet group. Looking forward to getting with them and working with them. But I've also had an interest because Cold War is very hard to find events for. You gotta find a timeline event, and you gotta find a timeline event that's gonna tolerate you, because some of them they kind of like Vietnam is their upper limit, and if you try to go beyond that, even Vietnam is a little bit of murky water for them. And you show up and you want to say, "Hey, I want to do like 80s." They're not really up for it. But I've looked at some other time periods, and one of the first things I did is I went to the Roman Legion that I helped start. Was one of the founding members, and I was interested in getting back with them. Unfortunately, they've grown to the point, and I shouldn't say unfortunately, but fortunately / unfortunately for HK Sniper, they've grown so much to the point that they are kind of gatekeeping right now. And I don't really have an interest in doing Roman Legion anymore. And I do know that they allowed auxiliary impressions, so I approached them about doing auxiliary impressions numerous times actually, and was pretty much told you're not allowed to do an auxiliary impression. It has to be a secondary impression. You have to do a Legion impression first. And I know that they're very similar, but they're actually kind of not similar. It's kind of a back and forth kind of thing. I could make a whole different video on it, but it kind of sucked because I was pretty much being told no. Well, I was being told no. And it's like, well, I just don't have an interest in doing Legion anymore, as in doing a Roman Legionary. I wanted to do auxiliary. And I was pretty much just told no. And I tried to plead my case to whoever's in charge of that. I had to look his name up again. Gave me the cold shoulder, didn't even read or respond, whatever. So I've looked at certain medieval reenacting, because I really would like to get into either medieval reenacting or very early gunpowder. And I've actually thought about doing like a Swiss mercenary with the very early handguns. However, I would be alone. I'd be the only one. So I've looked at certain medieval groups. There's some out there I've been in contact with, but they just don't quite fit what I'm looking for. And that's where we all kind of have this dilemma of, okay, COVID ruined our events. Now I want to do more stuff. So in order to do more events, I have to look at different time periods. But where do you go from there? And that's kind of the interesting thing right there with that is now you kind of have to shop around, and unfortunately you got groups that either gatekeep or it's just not quite what you're looking for, or what you do have an interest in, you're going to be by yourself, and being by yourself at an event sucks. Just bluntly put, if you're the only one that's doing that thing at an event, it sucks because you really can't interact with anybody other than the public, and you're just by yourself. And I've done it before with Cold War, I've done it with some other stuff, and it just sucks. Because it just feels like between talking to the public, you're just sort of sitting there, and you have no one you can kind of goof around with and have fun with, and it's just not fun. So I don't know where I'm going to go from there. The Soviet group that I've been talking to, they've got some events that they do that'll add a little more to what I can look into, but I'm wanting a different time period. And right now, it's just hard to find anything decent. At least, I'm not saying, I shouldn't say anything decent. Anything that catches my attention and that kind of fits what I'm after. That's a better way to put it. And I don't know. I don't know where to go from there. And I guess we'll see here in the future. So, I'm already kind of rambling on enough with this topic, and I'd like to hear what your thoughts and feelings are behind all this, and maybe your experiences as well. We went from a very, very active hobby with events going on constantly, not just public events, but private tactical events, and we literally watched our hobby get sliced down at the knees, and it's recovering. But unfortunately, we lost a lot of great events in the meantime. So with that, I'll leave it at that. Be safe, everyone. We'll see you in the next video.